Take care.
That's good. Great. Welcome, everyone. Appreciate you all being here. I'm Gary Suter. I'm here as the city manager. My first full week on the job. It's great to be here. Thank you for attending. So what we're going to do is I'm going to make some introductions. You're going to hear a little bit about this search and selection process. Then we're going to hear from each of the candidates. I'll introduce them. We'll hear from each of the candidates sitting up here. I want to have them give 3 to 5 minutes background on their experience, background experience, education, so forth and so on, and make a statement about why they want to be the next chief of police for the city of Steamboat Springs. And then after that, we'll break up, and you all can go back and have one-on-one conversations with them, and hopefully get to know these candidates a little bit better. So first, I want to introduce Fred McKay, who's the professional recruiter. I've known Fred for a number of years. We have a great recruiter here. He's got a great crop of candidates for us to consider for this position. Fred, if you could tell us a little bit about the process, that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks, Gary. Just so you know, our firm's KRW Associates, and the principals of the firm are all retired police chiefs. And I was a police chief for 11 years and a police officer for 25. And now at the University of Florida, I'm on faculty at CU as well. And we started with almost 100 resumes from all around the country in terms of the process. So obviously people were waiting for Steamboat Springs to be available, and we had a terrific response. Our firm then went through all the resumes, did some workup on the different candidates. We were able to eliminate some of those who were either not qualified or had other issues in the places where they were. We eventually interviewed a pretty high number of candidates personally by telephone. We wrote up a confidential report for the city, submitted that to the city, and also organized the resumes. So from all of that tiering of resumes, as we whittled down towards the semifinalists and then the finalists, the city selected the 5 candidates that you have here today. The firm does not select those, but the city selects those. So today we had a very nice meeting with the police department and the candidates. For actually really almost 3 hours now. We had a great meeting with the police department. We'll have the meet and greet, the community reception here shortly with the candidates. Tomorrow they will go through a series of exercises and interviews. We have a community panel representing the community, which they'll make a presentation to. The management team of the city of Steamboat Springs will be another panel, and we'll also meet with the city manager. So by the time they go back tonight to their hotel rooms, they'll have to regain their strength and go through tomorrow. And it'll be an exhausting process, but I think a good one. And what I like to say is if you get through these 2 days of all of these things, you have no business being a police chief. So I think it's a good thing that you're going to be here. And tomorrow afternoon, we'll get feedback from all of these different sources, community feedback, police department feedback, the panels tomorrow. All of that data and feedback and information will be given to the city, and then the city will make a decision who they'd like to see police chiefs. So that's the process. So thank you very much for being here. I think it's terrific that you're all here.
Thanks, Fred. I appreciate that. No, we're not going to be taking questions and answers. No, we're not going to be taking Q&A here because we want to hear from the candidates, but it's important to hear from the candidates.
I just wanted to ask you something about the process.
What I would suggest is you do that face-to-face after we break up, so thank you very much. So first I'm going to start at this end, so sorry that you have to go first, Kim. But, so this is Kim Ferber. Kim is Investigations and Support Services Division Chief for the city of Littleton, Colorado. And all of these candidates have very impressive careers, so I'm not really going to go into that. I'll let them talk about that, and I'll turn the microphone over to you, Kim. Thank you for your recent position.
Can you all hear me all right? Yes. Okay. So, as you all know, we met with the police department employees here a little while ago, and I was sharing a story with them about this police motorcycle school that I went to. It was grueling, and when I got done with my class, I was really excited to be assigned to a team that I think had an excellent reputation. But I learned pretty early on in my assignment that my community was identified as having the highest number of DUI injury crashes in the state of Colorado among all the large cities. And so I decided at that point that I was going to author my first grant. And I spent the next couple of months doing a lot of research and meeting with my law enforcement and community partners, and authored a grant that hinged on really two key principles: that we were going to use data to deploy our resources as effectively and efficiently as we could, and we were going to do it on limited funds. And so we were pleased to find out that our agency granted the funding, and at the end of the year, me and all of my coworkers were very pleased to find out that not only had we increased the number of DUI arrests, but we saw a decrease in the number of injury and non-injury DUI crashes in our city. In fact, after NHTSA reviewed, which is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, reviewed the data, they continued our grant funding for additional 2 years. And so that was really my first opportunity as a patrol officer without any rank to work on a large community project with not only like my peers in law enforcement, but also the community and other government agencies. And so I continued on in my career, and I became a detective. And like we talked about with all the police officers early in police work, you take on a lot of different roles to develop your expertises, and so that's what I did. And I became a SWAT tactical officer and a defensive tactics instructor, and I taught both in my police department and at our local police academy. And I became a drug recognition expert and accident reconstruction expert, and I taught DUI enforcement as well. And I continued to set goals for myself professionally, and I sought promotion, and I was fortunate enough to get promoted to the rank of sergeant and then commander, and currently I am the Investigations and Support Services Division Chief. Some of the notable accomplishments that we had in our unit recently include we authored and administrated a JAG grant so that we could implement a community safety volunteer program. We implemented a volunteer victim advocate program for after-hours call-outs. We also upgraded, with grant funding, all of our software systems so that we would have better technology and equipment in the field for our officers, as well as our communications center. We created an after-hours job share with multiple agencies for our crime scene investigators. And we managed the reunification site at the Arapahoe High School shooting incident. We just set professional goals for myself, and this is my final goal. I would like to become the chief of police here at the Steamboat Springs Police Department. And I feel that I'm a great fit for both the organization as well as the community. And I talk with a lot of you when I'm looking around the room, and one of the things I mentioned is I'm not a skier. I have skied, but that's not what draws me to Steamboat. I was very fortunate that my parents brought me to the Steamboat area very often when I was growing up, and we are a family of hunting and fishing and hiking, things that I continue to enjoy today. And professionally, I both understand and enjoy working in an agency similar in size to the Steamboat Springs Police Department, and I am looking forward to working beside the employees as well as all of you, and continue to grow on what I know is already a great organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Appreciate that. Next is Jerry Malone. Jerry is the current, well, I guess you hold a couple of jobs, patrol commander for the city of Craig, Colorado, and currently serving as the interim chief of police for the city of Steamboat Springs. Jerry, you're up.
Thank you. Where to start? I've only worked at one police agency my entire police career. That's been at Craig. I've been there since 1985, and I worked up the ranks from patrol, field training officer, sergeant, and at the time when I was promoted, I was a captain, and now I'm an operations division commander, and I also, in 5 or 6 years ago, I was the support commander over investigations and records. where to start. I've pretty much have tried throughout my career that I've done ladder through promotion processes. I'm a graduate of the 196 FBI ENA Academy. I've been to the Rocky Mountain FBI Command College, and also just finished 2 years ago the leadership of police organizations. So my background is that I trained to become a leader, and when this all started back in March, I had a meeting with my chief. He brought both Bill Leonard, who is the support service commander, and myself in and asked us if we wanted to come over here. He didn't, assign us over here. He asked us if we wanted to come over here, and I volunteered to come over here because I thought it would be a great learning experience for me, and I thought I could bring some of my leadership skills to the agency. So that's why I'm here. I've lived in Craig for 29 years, and I've been loyal to one agency, and it's about time that maybe I can move up to the next level.
Thanks, Jerry, and thanks to the chief. Sure appreciate that. Okay, next we have Derek Harvey, Administrative Commander, Town of Vale, Colorado. Derek.
Thanks very much, Mayor.
You bet.
So, thank you all for being here tonight. It's extremely important that your community police department, you have some input in there. So, I really thank the city for hosting a process that values your input and allows you an opportunity to get some feedback on this. A little bit about me. I started my career in Florida in 1996 in January. Worked my way up through the ranks as well. I did field training and traffic and homicide investigator, and decided I wanted to become a detective. As young as I am now, I looked even younger back then, and so the narcotics unit grabbed me, and you can maybe imagine what they had to do. We had a lot of gangs, a lot of drugs in our local high school, so they put me undercover in high school for about 6 months. So I had a varied level of experience in after narcotics. I got on and did sex crime investigation, persons crimes investigation, child abuse, those hard crimes. It's really difficult on not only the community but the people who investigate as well. And then finally worked my way up to the homicide unit. After the homicide unit, actually, before I get off on that, I was featured twice on the Discovery Channel for a couple of homicide investigations that I conducted, and kind of made a name for myself and started teaching the academy back then. Taught everything from death investigation to patrol tactics to eventually leadership and management. I've been to some leadership schools myself. I have a 4-year degree in criminal justice and I'm working on my master's as well. But the thing that drives me is really to constantly get better. And I think no matter you're not progressing. And so this for me personally is the next step in professional growth. And I've always kind of done it. So after I got promoted, I went to a patrol sergeant and had one of the worst districts as far as crime goes. And then the sheriff at the time was looking for somebody to step into research and development. So that's policy is what that is. Writing policy for the organization, researching new programs, whether it's things we're doing with the community or things that we're doing internally. And so I had an opportunity to manage a few large-scale projects, rapid fingerprint identification at roadside. And coincidentally, after we implemented that, what it is, it takes your fingerprint at roadside. So if somebody tells you, I'm John Smith, and they're really not John Smith, they'll tell you who they really are if they've ever been arrested. So I considered that a big success when we implemented the program because we caught a guy who had been running from the law for 26 years and had federal agents actually after him. So had some success with that, did some stuff with pre-screen DNA, and got involved with accreditation. What accreditation is really, if you've ever been to college, you've ever been to a hospital, you've ever been to any kind of lab, accreditation is that outside looking in to say, you know what, this group of folks meets a certain standard. And so became a big believer in Florida and got involved with the accreditation for the state level program. And then started doing assessments of other agencies and actually became a team assessment leader for the state of Florida. And did assessments on everything from agencies of 2,000 sworn police officers all the way down to 11 sworn police officers. And that's continued here. Since coming to Colorado, I've been involved, or got involved with the Chiefs Association, and actually, much to history, and had done a couple of assessments with Walt Benetta in that room there for the Mason County Sheriff's Office and some other places. The reason why I bring that up is that is a way for outside agencies to say, how are we doing? And it really opens up the CEO of the organization for somebody to come and say, you know what, you're not doing so great. But it's important that that happens. Because not only from the community's perspective, from transparency, but also from other professional organizations to say, you know what, everybody, every agency, every person is going to make a mistake. The difference is whether or not you're willing to, number one, identify it, number two, accept it, number three, do something about it. And I think it's important for all enforcement leaders to embrace that transparency, and accreditation is one of the ways of doing that. So how did I end up in Colorado? And I think I'm running short on time.
Couple minutes left.
Gotcha. So, had a great career, was doing a lot of great things in Florida, helping people left and right. Got promoted up to lieutenant, was a watch commander down there. We had everything from helicopters to canines to motorcycles to SWAT ninjas. You know, they'll hit an area for us if there was a problem there. So I had a lot of different things that were going on down in Florida and a lot of exciting things, but the one thing that we didn't really have is quality of life. I've got 3 kids, one's 17, one's 15, one's 11. And when we moved up here, they were just getting ready to get into middle school. And so we really wanted an environment that was family friendly. And when I say family friendly, I wanted some place where my kids could grow up and I could turn them loose and go camping. I wouldn't have to worry about somebody going and hurting them in the woods. Or that my daughter was going to be in some place and somebody might try and do something to them. So we started looking for all these different places and things that might be good for us to move to. And around 2007, I am a skier, and a buddy of mine knew that and used to go ski in the East Coast. And the East Coast is not really skiing, it's sliding on ice and mud. But we came out here and absolutely loved it. And so we decided, hey, this is where we want to make our home. We love the people, we love the location. And so I looked for a job in the mountains. And VLPD came open, they had a commander's position there. So I put in for that job, and that's how I landed here. So, why Steamboat? You know, Vail is a great community. It's a good organization. Again, I'm in a place where I'm doing well. We love what we do. I love who I work with. But the community sense that is in Steamboat is just not in Vail. And that's really what I wanted for my family. I want a place that I know when they get kids, that's where they're going to want to live. Vail's a great place, but I'm not so sure that they end up. So when this opportunity came up, it answered a couple questions for me. One, professionally, obviously it's the next step in growth for me, having done operations as a commander and administration as a commander and all the things that I do in Vail. And it also provides me an opportunity really to share some of the things that I'll share one last thing with you. I've been involved with a lot of boards, with nonprofit boards over in Eagle County. One that I helped start that deals or addresses mental health issues in the county. Another one is domestic violence and sexual assault on the board member as well. I've been for the last 3.5 years. And the last one is the Eagle River Youth Coalition that helps reach out and identify things that are happening in our youth, whether it's, for those of you who are familiar with Healthy Kids Colorado survey, it helps identify trends and things that we need in our communities that the kids are telling us are important. So we took that and I started a program called the Explorer Program. It's a nationwide program. I didn't brainstorm it, but it had never existed in Eagle County. My chief said, hey, I've been trying to get that here for 6 years, but we can't get any kids interested. So taking some of the things I saw in there, I started talking with some of our youth and started this program. And now we have 14 kids that come to this program. It's a chance for us to hear kind of the concerns that they have. It's a chance for us to explain to them kind of what we do and really what's happening there as we're building relationships with our young people. We do some other things externally in the community, do that with all different levels. But it's important to understand that Progressive Modern Organization looks for those opportunities to reach out and say, hey community, what's going on? How can we help you? How can you help us? Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Derek. And next is Craig Christensen. Corey is the Assistant Chief of Police, City of Fort Collins, Colorado. Corey.
Thank you, Gary. So, yes, I am from the City of Fort Collins. I've been in law enforcement for 26 years. I did start my career as a Laramie County Sheriff's Deputy. Spent 5 years on the road with the Laramie County Sheriff's Office, Private Police Department. Like everyone up here, I've had a great career with Fort Collins. I've held positions of sergeant, lieutenant, deputy chief, and now assistant chief. I've had 3 assignments in the detective in our detective bureau, once crimes against property, once major crimes unit, and then my last assignment in our detective bureau was to be the commander of the criminal investigations division, overseeing all of our units, about 40 detectives, including the school resource officers. When I was promoted to deputy chief, I was in charge of our support services unit, which is about 70 civilians who handle all of our property and evidence, records, dispatch, and technology. And then just a little over a year in July, I was promoted to assistant chief, where I moved into administration, and so the number 2 for the police department, act as chief when he's gone. Fortunately, my chief takes a lot of vacations, so I get to run the place every now and then. A few things I want to talk about in my career. One of the things that's really stood out for me always has been that interaction with the community. And I love working with cops. I love talking to cops. I like doing a lot of things with cops, but this is a community forum, so I want to talk about what I like about working with the community and the opportunities that I had in my career. I was a DUI enforcement officer, much like him, a passion for keeping the street safe. I did that for a while as a canine handler. I was a SWAT guy. I was a SWAT commander at one point. I really believe in keeping a community safe, but it wasn't really until I became a deputy chief and then assistant chief where I really got to interact more closely at the higher levels of the community and talk to the community about how do we view our police department? How do we work with agencies and organizations? And how do I work with city council? I know there's city council members, but how do I work with citizens as well? Getting information in, getting information out. Up until about 3 weeks ago, I was solely responsible for the public information for the Fort Collins Police Department. I don't know if it was because I got the job, but when I moved to assistant chief, our PIO retired after 18 years. I don't think there's a correlation, but she retired. And so it took me a little over a year to actually hire someone that I thought was suitable to get our message out. But I've been solely responsible for that. I'll tell you, in that time, in the last 13 months is really doing the PIO, we had 3 officer-involved shootings. We had 1 officer arrested for misconduct, and a few other kind of big-name things. The reason I tell you this, not to brag that we're great, because we had to arrest one of our police officers who's now doing 6 years at the Department of Corrections. What I want to tell you is that should come as no surprise to any of you if you've been following Fort Collins. Because as the PIO, as the Assistant Chief of Police, as the DNA of Fort Collins, all of that stuff is out press. All of that stuff is out in the community. All of that's of transparency. And it's not just about transparency because we can throw that word out a lot. It's about legitimacy. Is Fort Collins a legitimate policing agency for that city? And that's what I was driving at. And those are the kinds of things. It's interesting when our last officer-involved shooting just happened in July. 2 officers unfortunately had to shoot a guy that had just stabbed a woman, tried to kill her, and then came at them with a knife and they shot and killed him. And when the DA's report came out, the press asked me, will there be any surprises? And I said, no. There's nothing in the DA's report that's going to surprise you. Because it's important, you already know the names of the officers. And this sometimes drives officers a little crazy, but it's important to a community. It's the most dangerous thing we'll do is take a life. And it's the biggest thing we have to be transparent about. You'll know exactly how many rounds we fired. You'll know exactly what we did. We believe that that's important to get that out there. I'm bringing that with me. That's something that's really important to me. I have a degree in mass communications, public relations, so I spent 12 years as a public information officer for the National Guard. So I like to talk to the press anyhow. I don't know if that's good or bad. I also have a degree in IT. I'm a nerd, a bit of a nerd, so I enjoy that part of it as well. But I have a master's degree in leadership and organizational studies. And I bring to that, I use that stuff every day. What I learned in my master's program, I use it every single day. And let me tell you why I'm here. When this announcement came out, so I've come up here, I've caught a lot of fish in that Yampa River back there, a lot of fish. And I love this place. I've hiked up here, I've 4-wheeled out here, I've ridden horses, I've camped. I'm kind of like him, I'm not a big skier. My knees don't take it much anymore. But I love the outdoors. And I love this place. One of my barometers, I'm married. I've been married for a little over 22 years. We have an adult 20-year-old daughter. And one of my barometers is my wife. And I said, hey, honey, Steamboat Springs looking for chief of police. She goes, well, let's go take a look. Now, usually she says, oh. But she goes, let's go take a look. So what we did is we drove up here to Steamboat Springs, got a room at the Sheraton, which, by the way, is really nice. and wine festival was going on, and all I did was wander the city. I talked to business owners. I encountered three Steamboat Springs police officers, and all I was telling people was, I'm thinking about relocating to Steamboat, what can you tell me? All right? I heard nothing but great things. It felt really comfortable. You asked me, what does it feel like? I'm coming from Fort Collins. This feels very comfortable to me, right? I love the fact that the farmers market's going on, and there's a wine festival, things like that. It feels really comfortable to me. And so I wandered around, met some police officers. By the way, if I was their chief, I would have been proud of them. You should be proud of them too, in how they responded to some fat old guy walking up to him saying, hey, tell me about the police department. Tell me, they have no idea. I didn't identify myself. Talked to lots of business owners, talked to some citizens right off the street, and all I got was, this is a great place. So, get in the car. This is my barometer. Get in the car, start to head back to Fort Collins. Beautiful drive up over Cameron Pass, Ravagers Pass, for half an hour. And my bride looks at me and says, you've got to go to that place. That's why I'm here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Gordon. Appreciate that. Last but not least. Patty Higgins, Executive Services Bureau Deputy Chief, Kansas City, Missouri. Thank you, Patty. I'm yours.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you for coming out tonight. Like Gary said, I'm Patty Higgins from Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. 32 years experience in law enforcement. I started in Kansas City in 1983. Long time. You might say I'm a mature one of the group. So I've done just about every element of policing. I've been in SWAT. I was the first female SWAT commander in Kansas City. I've done internal affairs, which is really a good assignment. You get to read everything that everybody does, but doggone, you can't tell anybody what you read. That's the hard part of it. I've been all the civilian jobs I've had one time or another: fleet maintenance, building operations, capital improvement projects, which you're getting ready to do a capital project, building a new police department, a new station here. I've taught at the academy. So basically all of us look really good on paper. I've got a master's degree in public affairs, and I've got a bachelor's in business. But I want to tell you who I am and what kind of chief you'd be getting. 32 years ago when I started, it was pretty much get out there and fight crime. Keyword, fight. It was more of a warrior mentality. And then as things progressed, we started doing zero tolerance. Here you've got that warrior, directed patrol, all these things. Go get the bad guy, go get the bad guy. How are you evaluated? Counting stats. How many arrests you made. Wasn't the quality of the arrest, it wasn't the outcome on the police department, it was how many arrests. So that's how we all started. At least that's how I started my police department, and that was pretty much countrywide. So it progressed, and everybody wanted community policing. So what did the police departments do? They got a community policing officer. All the rest were still in this warrior zone, but we have a community policing officer. So years go by, the community's like, that's not really working, and this is national. This is not Kansas City, this is not Steamboat, this is national. The consensus was, this isn't working. So they tell the police officers, okay, you all have to be community police officers. Well, this worked, except when this guy's under arrest, I'm a warrior, and I treat him as if I'm a warrior. This guy over here is a citizen, and I'm arresting him because I'm a community policing officer. Well, what happens when your citizen is now over here, has the worst day of their life, and has the police come out to their house? You treat your citizen as if you're a warrior. So what are the communities? What's the current philosophy that the police departments are trying to get over into police work? It's moving from the warrior, war room, all this type of stuff, war on crimes, to guardian. All police officers, I want them to have the mentality of guardian. So if I came to Steamboat, the officers would learn that you're a guardian. You're a guardian of this 12-year-old child who got locked out of their house and has no place to go. You're a guardian of this DUI person that's drunk, that's probably going to throw up and get some on your shoes. You're that person's guardian. You're the guardian of the person who's arrested for breaking into your house. You have to guard every single individual in this community. And it's no more, you do community policing here, you do tactical. You have to have the ability to do the tactical operations. That's still a big part of police work. If there's an officer-involved shooting or an active shooter going, you have to have that skill set. But 99% of the time, you need that guardian mentality. That's what I would bring to your police department. And I think that's what you need. Einstein said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it word for word, that insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. I'm different. So don't do the same thing. And I'm married, no children, and how I became interested in steamboat. I had no intentions of moving to Kansas City. I've got 32 years. 35 years they have mandatory retirement. So kind of thinking about something that I'm going to do. I've been to Steamboat probably 20 times. In the summer and winter, my friends owned a house at the base of Mount Horner, and I come out there and visit them. I am a skier. I am a horseback rider. I'm very athletic. So I would come out and visit them. They sold their place. I still came out here every winter. And now I have friends that own a place down in the Victorian. So 2 years ago, I came and stayed in the Victorian down off 11th Street. So I do have ties here. I have fallen in love with the community. So one of my majors came in and go, hey, Steamboat Springs is looking for a chief of police. I said, really? And they know that I plan on staying in Kansas City. So let me see that. My information. So I'm going to put in for that. No, you're not. I said, no, really, I am. So then a little bit later, I said, hey, I don't even have a resume at this point. I did not do my resume. I have not looked for any police job. I will not look for any police job after this because I'm not interested in other communities because I had planned on maybe buying a condo here and doing the split thing, and then all of a sudden my personal life converged with what you all needed. So anyway, I told the guy who came in with the information on Steamboat, I said, hey, I'm a finalist. He goes, really? Great, I want your job. So anyway, that's how I came to Steamboat. Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Patty. I want to thank each and every one of you for attending tonight and for your time. And please help me thank our quality finalists up here and help me thank